Hey everyone, my name is Justin Aristorenis. I'm an environmental professional with Full Spectrum Environmental, and today we're going to be covering one of the most basic but also most misunderstood parts of mold, and that's mold spores. If you plan to or have already had a home inspector come into your home, they've taken air samples, surface samples, or if you plan to do testing yourself, like an ERMI test or a Petri dish test, you've probably heard of the term mold spores, and you're probably wondering what they really are, what they mean, and is your home safe if you have elevated mold spores? This video is going to bring some clarification and break down what they really mean when they're found in your home. So, to better understand this, think of mold like seeds from a plant. When you have a seed and it's in the right conditions, it's going to germinate and grow roots. It's going to grow the body, and then you have the fruiting body like a flower. And then that flower is going to produce spores, and the whole cycle is going to repeat itself. Same way with molds, you have spores. That spore in the right conditions, which we go over in another video talking about the two things that mold needs to grow. It's going to germinate. It's going to develop roots like hyphal fragments, and then it's going to turn into colonies, and then it's going to turn into fruiting bodies, and then those fruiting bodies are going to create more spores, and then that cycle is going to reoccur all over again. Understanding this helps us when we take samples because each spore is going to be like a specific seed from a plant. If you have a rose, it's going to create seeds that's going to develop into more roses. A tulip is not going to develop seeds that's going to turn into a rose. The same way with mold spores, if you have Aspergillus, it's going to create spores that's going to turn into more Aspergillus, and Cladosporium is not going to become Aspergillus. So when you take a sample and see that you have elevated Aspergillus mold spores and nothing else, you know you're dealing with Aspergillus in your home. But this is where people start to get confused because having mold spores in your home doesn't necessarily mean that mold is growing inside your house. You might see elevated basidospores or ascospores in your home if you take an ERMI test. But it's good to know that basidospores and ascospores are more commonly found outside. It could be coming from clothes that you bring into your house, or you had a window open or a door open, and those spores come into your home, and now they're present, and it's going to show up on a sample that you took. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that mold is growing inside your house. That's why understanding where the spore is coming from is key. Taking samples is just one data point that's going to tell you a small part of the picture. But in reality, you have to take in a lot more data points and cross reference them, which differentiates what a good inspector and a bad inspector is. A good inspector is going to moisture map the home. They're going to look in your duct system. They're going to look in your AC. They're going to go up into your attic. They're going to take in all this information and then also look at the results and interpret it to determine and create a summary as what's actually happening inside your house. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation and misrepresentation in the mold industry. When working with assessors and remediators, there could be a few that like to say that mold spores are elevated when they're really not. And also, they like to use buzzwords like toxic mold or that you have to throw everything away in your house. If you're working with a contractor that's using these types of language, it's good to maybe get a third party inspector in there that you can trust and that's not affiliated to do their own type of testing and do inspection to really see if your home requires that level of remediation. Working with someone that can interpret all the data and honestly share the context in easy language that you can understand makes all the difference. So the next time you hear someone say mold spores, think of it like seeds from a plant. It's going to tell you one part of the picture, but not the full picture. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful and would like to see more of this, please give this video a like and subscribe. And on our next videos, we'll be sharing the different types of molds, what they mean, and also where they're commonly found inside a home.